INFJs love differently. When they care, they do it with their entire being, with patience, depth, and understanding that feels almost otherworldly. They see your pain, your potential, and your patterns long before you do. But that same depth that makes their love so powerful is also what makes their goodbye permanent. Because when an INFJ walks away, it's never impulsive. It's a decision that's been silently forming behind every disappointment, every unspoken hurt, and every moment they realized their love wasn't being valued. They don't stop loving easily, they stop trying. And by the time that happens, their heart isn't broken anymore. It's just done. In this video, you'll understand why INFJs can love you with every part of their soul and still walk away forever when peace becomes more important than attachment. Subscribe to Brainy One, like this video, and comment, "Love deserves peace." Because when an INFJ finally leaves, it's not out of bitterness, it's out of self-respect. They love with intention, not impulse. When an INFJ loves, it's never random, it's deliberate. They don't fall for people because of charm, attraction, or surface-level excitement. They fall because they've seen something real, a connection that feels purposeful, something that aligns with their intuition and emotional truth. Their love isn't born out of impulse, it's built through observation, emotional safety, and deep resonance. They take their time to understand who you are, what you hide, and how you move through the world before they decide to give you a place in their heart. This depth often surprises people. INFJs don't love halfway. When they choose you, they're already imagining how to make your life lighter, your dreams closer, and your pain easier to carry. Their love comes with intention, with meaning. They remember small details, the tone of your voice when you're sad, the words you never say out loud. To them, love isn't a feeling that fades. It's a responsibility to nurture connection, protect trust, and grow together. But this same intentional love can become a double-edged sword. Because while they give everything consciously, they also notice everything consciously. They can sense when energy shifts, when effort fades, when love becomes performance instead of truth. And once that awareness sets in, they start to see what others miss, that their love is no longer being met with the same depth. INFJs don't explode or beg for validation when this happens. They quietly start to pull back, not out of anger, but reflection. They ask themselves hard questions. Am I being valued or tolerated? Am I still seen or just expected? And when the answer becomes clear, they begin to prepare their heart for departure long before anyone realizes it. Their love, from beginning to end, remains intentional. They love deeply, and when they walk away, that too is intentional. Because for an INFJ, love isn't about possession, it's about peace. And if staying starts costing them their inner peace, they'd rather walk away with dignity than stay in something that slowly breaks them. They see potential even when it hurts them. INFJs have a rare gift. They see beyond what people are right now and into who they could be. Their intuition reads past surface flaws and glimpses the version of you that exists beneath fear, ego, and defense mechanisms. They don't just see your behavior, they sense your pain, your potential, and the light you hide from yourself. It's a beautiful trait, but it's also what hurts them the most. When they fall in love, they don't just fall for who you are, they fall for your possibilities. They believe in your growth, even when you've stopped believing in it yourself. They forgive, they wait, they invest, all because they can feel that you're capable of more. But that compassion can quietly become a trap, because while they're busy loving your potential, they start accepting pain as part of the process. They tolerate disappointment, inconsistency, and neglect, all while convincing themselves that you'll change, that the person they see inside you will one day come to the surface. The INFJ's love becomes a silent form of hope. They rationalize red flags, overlook emotional distance, and take on more responsibility than they should, all because they're attached not just to you, but to who they believe you could become. It's not naivete, it's deep empathy. They understand that everyone has wounds, and they want to be the person who helps you heal. But in the process, they start losing themselves trying to protect your growth at the expense of their own. And when that realization hits, when they finally see that their love is being poured into potential instead of reality, the heartbreak runs deep. They don't get angry. They get quiet. They mourn the future they imagined, not the person standing in front of them. They grieve the version of you they loved but never truly met. That's when the INFJ begins to withdraw. Not because they stopped caring, but because they finally accept what most people never do. You can't love someone into their potential. Change is personal. Growth can't be forced. And no matter how much love they have to give, it can't save someone who's not ready to meet them halfway. They give too many chances before they give up. INFJs are patient to a fault. When they care about someone, they don't walk away at the first sign of trouble. They analyze, empathize, and try to understand. They believe in second chances and third and sometimes even 10th chances because their heart is wired for forgiveness, not punishment. They can always find a reason for your behavior, a justification for your distance, or an explanation for your coldness. In their eyes, everyone is fighting a silent battle, and they'd rather hold on a little too long than abandon someone too soon. But that compassion slowly turns into self-betrayal. Each time they forgive without change, a small part of them starts to break. They convince themselves that understanding someone deeply means excusing their behavior, but it doesn't. Still, they try. They communicate, they compromise, they overextend, all while hoping that this time will be different. And when it's not, they take the blame. They wonder if they could have loved better, communicated clearer, or been more patient. That self-reflection, one of their greatest strengths, becomes the very thing that keeps them stuck. The truth is, INFJs don't want to give up on people. They see potential, and they remember every good moment, every glimpse of love that felt real, but over time, the imbalance becomes undeniable. They start noticing that they're the only ones trying, the only ones fixing, the only ones carrying the weight of connection. And that's when the exhaustion sets in. Not physical, but emotional. It's the kind of fatigue that comes from loving deeply without being met halfway. When an INFJ finally reaches that breaking point, it doesn't happen with a fight or a farewell speech, it happens quietly. They stop explaining, stop asking, stop hoping. They stop trying to be understood by someone who's already shown they don't care to understand. And once they've accepted that peace is no longer possible in the relationship, their detachment becomes permanent. The saddest part, they'll still wish you well. They won't hate you. They'll just disappear from your life with quiet dignity. Because by the time an INFJ gives up, they've already spent every ounce of effort their heart could offer. And once their mind aligns with what their heart has been resisting, that's the day they walk away forever. They fall for souls, not appearances. INFJs are drawn to depth, not beauty, not charm, not social status. When they fall for someone, it's rarely about the surface. It's about the energy, the essence, the unspoken connection that pulls them in. They fall for the way your mind works, the way your heart hides behind your words, the emotions you don't show anyone else. To an INFJ, physical attraction fades, but soul connection doesn't. That's why their love feels rare. Because it's not built on appearances, but alignment. They can meet a person who everyone else overlooks and still feel an unexplainable bond. Something about your energy, your truth, or your pain speaks directly to their intuition. They'll look past flaws, insecurities, and mistakes because they see what's underneath. The part of you that's still healing, still hoping, still trying. And that level of emotional sight makes their love both extraordinary and dangerous. Extraordinary because it's unconditional. The INFJ will love you for who you truly are, not who you pretend to be. They'll listen without judgment, accept your darkness, and help you see light where you thought none existed. Their love is not transactional, it's transformational. When you're loved by an INFJ, you feel understood in ways you didn't think were possible. But it's also dangerous for them because when they love souls, they ignore red flags that most people would run from. They think they can heal pain with compassion or rewrite patterns with patience. They believe that depth is enough to fix disconnection and that their love can bridge the emotional gaps that someone else refuses to close. And that's where their heart begins to pay the price. Over time, they learn that loving a soul doesn't always mean keeping it. Sometimes it means seeing the beauty in someone's spirit while knowing they're not meant to stay. It means recognizing that no matter how deep the bond feels, peace has to come first. INFJs fall for souls because they crave meaning, but as they evolve, they realize that the purest form of love isn't just about connection, it's about compatibility. You can recognize someone's soul without needing to lose yourself in it. And once they understand that, they start loving differently, still deeply, but with boundaries that protect their peace. They notice when effort stops, even if they stay silent. INFJs are incredibly perceptive. They notice everything, the tone that changes mid-sentence, the texts that take longer to arrive, the energy that no longer feels the same. They can sense when love starts fading long before words confirm it. You might think they don't see it because they don't confront you right away, but they do. They just process it differently. Instead of reacting impulsively, they step back and observe quietly, hoping they're wrong, hoping it's just a phase. But deep down, they know. They feel it when your eyes stop holding warmth, when your voice loses interest, when affection turns into obligation. For them, emotional withdrawal is louder than words. And while most people might need a fight or confession to realize something's wrong, INFJs can feel the distance the moment it begins. At first, they give grace. They tell themselves you're stressed, distracted, or tired. They make excuses for you because they understand that people go through emotional ups and downs. But when the pattern continues, when the calls stop, the effort fades, and the connection feels one-sided, something inside them begins to shift. They don't get angry, they get quiet. That silence isn't indifference, it's reflection. It's the INFJ analyzing whether the love they're giving is still being respected. They replay memories, conversations, and behaviors in their mind, searching for where things changed. And when the truth becomes clear that they're no longer being chosen the same way, they start to emotionally detach long before they physically leave. And they won't beg for attention or demand reassurance. It's not pride, it's principle. The INFJ knows that real love doesn't need convincing, so they watch in silence as the connection slowly dissolves and the person they once trusted becomes a stranger they still care about. It hurts deeply, but they won't chase. They'll simply redirect their energy towards self-preservation, knowing that the love they gave deserved to be reciprocated, not taken for granted. By the time they walk away, they've already accepted the truth. Their silence isn't confusion, it's closure. Because the moment effort dies, the INFJ's heart starts preparing for goodbye. They begin to withdraw emotionally before they leave physically. When an INFJ starts pulling away, it doesn't happen all at once. It begins quietly, almost invisibly. Long before they physically walk away, they start to emotionally detach. The shift is subtle, but it's deliberate. Their heart begins to protect itself from the pain it knows is coming. They still show up, they still smile. They may even still say, "I love you." But something changes behind their eyes. The warmth turns into observation, the hope turns into acceptance. This emotional withdrawal is not revenge or punishment, it's self-preservation. INFJs know that goodbyes are rarely clean. They've learned that the hardest part of leaving isn't the physical act, it's the emotional separation that must happen first. So they begin to create distance in their mind. They stop sharing their deepest thoughts. They stop trying to fix the unfixable. They stop imagining a future that only they're working toward. If you're close to them, you'll feel it. Their energy becomes quieter, their presence lighter. They still care, they always will, but they stop participating emotionally. The late night conversations turn short, their empathy turns inward, and the bond that once felt magnetic now feels peaceful but detached. It's not coldness, it's acceptance that they've reached the limit of what they can give. The INFJ doesn't leave out of impulse. They leave because they've spent months, sometimes years, trying to make things work. They've analyzed every outcome, tried every approach, and forgiven more times than anyone knows. So by the time they withdraw, it's not a test, it's the final stage of letting go. And when they finally do walk away, it's almost serene. There are no dramatic exits or angry outbursts, just quiet clarity. They don't need closure from anyone because they've already found it within themselves. They've said their goodbyes internally long before they say them out loud. The heartbreaking truth is that when an INFJ detaches emotionally, there's no coming back. You may notice the distance and try to reconnect, but once they've made peace with leaving, their heart won't reopen. They'll wish you well, they'll hope you grow, but they won't return because the moment they begin to withdraw, the love story has already ended for them. They realize love without respect isn't love. INFJs give love freely, but respect is the line they'll never compromise again. For a long time, they believe that patience, forgiveness, and empathy are enough to hold a relationship together. They tell themselves that if they love harder, communicate better, or stay longer, things will change. But with time and pain, they come to a hard realization. Love without respect is just emotional chaos disguised as connection. They notice how easily I love you can coexist with disregard, neglect, or control. They start to see that real love doesn't make you feel small, silenced, or unseen. It doesn't demand constant self-sacrifice or make you apologize for your needs. For an INFJ, respect isn't about ego, it's about mutual understanding. It's the foundation that allows love to feel safe, to breathe, to grow. Once that respect is gone, something inside them shifts permanently. They no longer see love through fantasy. They see it through truth. They realize that love can't be measured by intensity alone. It must also be measured by consistency, by care, and by effort. Without those things, love becomes just another word people use to justify emotional dependency. INFJs have deep emotional endurance. They'll forgive more than they should. They'll hold on through storms most people would walk away from. But the moment they see disrespect for what it is, the moment they feel dismissed, manipulated, or devalued, their heart begins to harden, not out of hate, but out of self-respect. And once they reach that clarity, there's no turning back. They stop trying to fix what disrespects them. They stop defending people who don't defend them. They stop giving love to places that can't hold it. Because for an INFJ, love without respect isn't a relationship, it's a slow form of self-abandonment. That's the moment they reclaim their power. They realize their empathy isn't meant to tolerate disrespect. It's meant to inspire genuine connection. From that point on, every boundary they set, every no they speak becomes an act of self-love. And that's when they finally understand the purest kind of love is the one that doesn't require you to lose yourself to keep it. They detach without anger, just clarity. When an INFJ finally detaches, it's not an explosion, it's an awakening. There's no shouting, no final confrontation, no long emotional speech, just calm acceptance that something they once cherished no longer feels like home. The INFJ doesn't leave because they stopped caring, they leave because they've finally seen the truth clearly, and clarity always replaces chaos. By the time they detach, they've already processed every emotion in silence. The sadness, the confusion, the guilt, they've felt it all privately long before anyone else realizes something is wrong. That's why when they walk away, they seem almost emotionless. But that calm isn't coldness, it's peace. It's the kind of peace that comes from finally understanding that love shouldn't feel like survival. They no longer try to fix, explain, or prove anything. They stop rewriting the story in their mind to make it hurt less. Instead, they accept what is, not what they hoped it could be. The need to argue fades because they realize the truth doesn't need defending. The need to chase disappears because they understand real love doesn't require convincing. What's left is quiet clarity, the wisdom that peace is worth more than being understood by the wrong person. Detachment for an INFJ isn't about indifference, it's about reclaiming emotional balance. They don't wish you harm, they don't resent you, they just no longer feel the need to participate in something that costs them their inner calm. It's not revenge, it's release. And that release is what gives them strength. Once they reach this level of detachment, you can't guilt them back, you can't reason them into staying, and you can't appeal to their empathy anymore. They've already outgrown the version of themselves that tolerated emotional imbalance. They see things for what they are, not what they could be. That's why when an INFJ lets go, it's final. Their silence isn't a punishment, it's closure. And while others may think they've gone cold, the truth is they've just chosen peace over pain. Because when an INFJ detaches, it's not the end of love, it's the beginning of freedom. They choose peace over pain every time. For INFJs, peace isn't just a preference, it's a survival mechanism. After years of emotional exhaustion, overgiving, and trying to fix what was never theirs to fix, they reach a point where peace becomes sacred. They no longer chase love that hurts, friendships that drain, or situations that force them to prove their worth. They realize that no matter how deep the bond once was, nothing is worth sacrificing their mental and emotional stability. It doesn't happen suddenly, it's a gradual awakening. One day, they wake up and realize they're tired of trying to make broken connections feel whole. They're tired of explaining their feelings to people who listen only to respond. They're tired of hoping that effort and empathy will change someone who doesn't want to grow. And in that moment, something powerful shifts. Their focus turns inward. Instead of fighting for peace externally, they begin to build it internally. Peace, to an INFJ, doesn't mean isolation, it means alignment. It's the comfort of knowing they can be alone without feeling lonely. It's the relief of not walking on emotional eggshells. It's the strength to say, I love you, but I can't keep breaking myself to keep you comfortable. Choosing peace means they stop negotiating their needs. They stop tolerating environments that make them feel small. They stop confusing chaos for passion. And when they make that choice, their entire energy changes. The calm that once seemed fragile becomes unshakable. Their silence is no longer sad, it's intentional. Their boundaries stop feeling defensive, they become expressions of self-respect. They no longer see walking away as loss, but as liberation. The world may label them cold for leaving peacefully, but the INFJ knows the truth. Walking away doesn't mean they stopped caring. It means they started caring about themselves, finally and completely. They understand that love built on pain isn't love, it's attachment. And peace is the only environment where their love can breathe, grow, and remain pure. Because once an INFJ chooses peace, there's no going back. They'll always love deeply, but from that day forward, they'll only love where peace lives too. They don't return, because closure comes from within. When an INFJ walks away, it's not about winning or proving a point, it's about healing. By the time they leave, they've already replayed every moment, questioned every detail, and exhausted every possible way to make it work. There's no unfinished business, no lingering what if. They've found their closure, not through apologies or explanations, but through acceptance. That's why, no matter how much time passes, they rarely go back. INFJs understand something that most people never do. Closure isn't something someone gives you. It's something you create for yourself. They stop waiting for accountability from people who will never admit their part, and they stop hoping for understanding from those who never tried to understand them in the first place. Instead, they learn to let peace replace answers. They choose to move forward without reopening old wounds. Their decision not to return doesn't come from bitterness, it comes from wisdom. They've learned that revisiting the past only reopens pain that took so long to heal. They no longer chase clarity from chaos or comfort from people who once drained them. They trust that the version of them who walked away did it for the right reasons, and that's enough. This kind of closure gives them a quiet strength. They stop being haunted by why and start focusing on what now. They rebuild, they grow, and they become even more grounded in who they are. The love they once gave outward begins to flow inward, turning into self-respect, confidence, and emotional balance. So when someone tries to circle back, hoping to rekindle what was lost, they'll find the INFJ different. Not colder, but calmer. Not guarded, but grounded. Their heart is no longer waiting at the door, it's already moved on. INFJs don't return because they no longer need closure from others. They found it in silence, in peace, and in the strength it took to let go. Once they've healed themselves from the inside, there's nothing left to go back to because the lesson has already been learned. In the end, INFJs don't walk away because they stopped loving. They walk away because they finally learned to love themselves too. They give deeply, forgive endlessly, and hope genuinely until one day peace starts to mean more than potential. That's the moment their strength quietly replaces their attachment. They don't return to what broke them because their healing has already rewritten the story. They understand that closure doesn't come from someone else's apology. It comes from choosing peace over pain, self-respect over confusion, and solitude over being misunderstood. Their silence isn't coldness, it's freedom. So if this message speaks to you, if you've ever loved deeply, lost quietly, and chosen peace instead of chasing chaos, you understand the INFJ heart. It's rare, resilient, and beautifully self-aware. Subscribe to Brainy One, like this video, and comment, "Peace is my closure." Because once an INFJ learns to love without losing themselves, that's when they never have to walk away again.